Hey Citylight family, Pastor Chris with you. So good to see you guys. So excited to be walking through the book of Exodus with you. We're going to be in chapter 4 today as just a quick devotional. And really my goal in my heart is, I know that your preachers, local pastors preach probably on some of the major themes. I want to find some of the supporting themes that are in this text. And so I want to talk to you about two things. One, walking with others, and two, the importance of holiness. So walking with others, the importance of holiness. So you guys might have heard the dialogue between Moses and God. So God comes to Moses, says, you are going to be the one that delivers my people out of Egypt and delivers them into the promised land. And Moses is like, that's great, but I'm not your guy. I'm not eloquent in speech. And then God has to remind him, am I not the God that made the mouth? And I promise I will be with you. And he had to speak into those things. But even then, Moses, what's amazing, comes back and says, I really hope you send someone else. And it's in that place where God was frustrated, but at the same time, he gives him even a greater gift. He gives him somebody to walk with him. And so I want you to see what the Lord does with Moses. Here's what he says. Verse 14, is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well. Behold, he's coming out to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you both what to do. He shall speak for you to the people, and he shall be your mouth. What an amazing gift from God. So here's God. He said, here's the plan. Here's what you need to do. I've promised to be with you. I'm the one that created you. I'm bigger than you. You need to get over yourself. But even in this, God is so gracious, patient, and kind. He says, you still have gaps in your competencies and inadequacies, and I'm going to send you somebody to walk with you. So Citylight, I don't know what the thing is the Lord has called you to do, but don't be afraid to invite people into your gap. Don't be afraid to ask God, Lord, I know you're with me, and I know your spirit is enough, and I know you've given me power, but Lord, would you send me a teammate? I think about how Paul and Barnabas in Acts chapter 13 were sent out, and how it's okay for us to invite people who have complementary gifts to walk with us. Don't be a leader who feels like I've got to do it alone. Humbly invite other people and ask God to send other people to surround you. I have been so blessed by people in our church family that literally do so many things that I can't do. And it's been a blessing to know that the Lord has provided those. Okay, last thing. Holiness matters. One of the things that happens is Moses then decides to go to Egypt and start to be a part of God's redemptive work. But something amazing happens. As he's journeying back to Egypt with his family, the Lord's anger burns against Moses, and it says that God almost killed him. He wanted to strike him down. And we find out that's because Moses' life was in disobedience to God. God had called Moses to circumcise his child, his son, on the 8th day. And it says that he wasn't circumcised, and so his wife, Zipporah, had to jump in and circumcise his son. Let me read this situation. It says, verse 25 in chapter 4, then Zipporah took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin and touched it to Moses' feet. What's amazing here is this was one of God's primary ways of marking his covenant people, that his people, the Israelite people, would be circumcised on the 8th day. Moses had not circumcised his son. So we don't know how old his son is, but we know that at some point, Moses had been walking in delayed obedience to God, and that this angered God. And so Zipporah had to then go and do what Moses was supposed to do. I want to say this. This is why this matters. I think holiness matters. Obedience to God matters. And so when I saw this, I thought, what a gift that God used his wife to speak into the areas of disobedience in Moses' life. What a gift it is if you have friends in your life who will speak in and be honest about areas. Don't think those people are against you, that they're trying to hold you back or criticize you. They're simply trying to ask you, what are the areas like Moses had in his personal life that were not in step of obedience? Hey, I want to challenge you, whatever that is, would you let people to have the hard conversations with you? Would you let the Holy Spirit speak that into you? And lastly, I want to leave you with good news. I think we're all like Moses. All of us have areas of our life that are not quite in obedience to God, and that the Lord is still working out. And the only hope that we have is that Jesus Christ perfectly fulfilled the requirements of law on our behalf. And so we sit underneath his earned righteousness, not ours. And that is such a gift. So Citylight today, would you rest in that? Would you pursue holiness? And would you walk with others?